We're going to be talking the Intercontinental Championship and how it might finally, Steve, be back to being a relevant belt that might actually get some screen time and some respect in this industry. What are your initial thoughts after seeing Gunther defeat Ricochet for the IC Championship on the last episode of SmackDown?
Let's take nothing away from Ricochet. Like, the guy is a phenomenal talent, and unfortunately, he is being underutilized or poorly utilized on SmackDown and in WWE. But I don't want to address Ricochet too much. What I want to say is, Santi, I don't think this title has been relevant since the the late 90s. It has been poorly recognized. Like, I go through some of the IC champions that we've had in, I'd say, the last 15 years. Yeah, okay, we got Jericho, we got Triple H. These are mid-tier reigns that really didn't mean anything. Okay, we had RVD at one point, we had Kane, all these types of things, but it really hasn't been a focal point for how established this title is. So I am so excited because Gunther, Walter, whatever we want to call him, he is such one of those staples, a Pat Patterson style type wrestler, old school brawler, ring technician that is going to hopefully bring some accreditation back to what this title deserves. It's one of the most famous titles in the world, Santi. Like, how have they lost like the actual like stigma of this title? Where is it gone?
Yeah, and we can definitely touch on that. I want to talk about Gunther real quick before we do that. And let's actually talk about how perfect of a character Gunther is to carry the IC Championship, because he is the Ring General who is here to bring back respect to the art of wrestling. That's his character. That was his character in NXT UK, NXT, and not so much in this, but you know, he is still the Ring General, but he hasn't done the whole shtick of bringing back respect to wrestling. But he can bring that shtick back and be the Ring General. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying it like that. The Ring General that is going to bring respect back to the Intercontinental Championship. And Steve, I want him to change this to the European Championship. Tell me that's not great. Tell me that's not great booking.
It's fantastic booking, Santi, but at the end of the day, it is still the IC title, and the IC title still trumps the European title. Don't get me wrong. I have always been the European title fan. I loved it growing up. I think it has accreditation and establishment in the industry, but we're still talking about the IC title, man. The Intercontinental title. It's a global title. It's not the world title, but it still at times feels the same. The IC title deserves to be right about here, below the world title, not next to the 24/7 title. And that's what we have been getting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we agree that it needs to be that close to the World Championship, because in the generation that I watched, it never was. It was the stepping stone to the world title. I think it went from the in the 90s, the primary house show belt, right?
Yep.
Where you know, Hulk Hogan wasn't going to every house show. Of course he wasn't. But the Intercontinental Champion, you bet your ass, was the workhorse, and that was the championship of the house shows. It main evented many pay-per-views. It main evented a WrestleMania with the Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. But in my generation of wrestling, the Intercontinental Championship is the stepping stone to the World Championship. So you listed a couple of those usual suspects from the 2000s. Kane, he won that, and then immediately world title picture right after. RVD, Randy Orton, probably one of the best examples over the last 20 years on how to utilize the Intercontinental Championship to elevate somebody. I will tell you when the Intercontinental Championship died as the stepping stone. It died when Umaga lost it to Santino in Italy. that is when the Intercontinental Championship died and lost all respect, when the Samoan Bulldozer, at the time an incredible IC champion, got pinned by some random bloke from Milan, Santino Marella. And then from there, that's when the forgettable reigns of the IC championship begin. And speaking of forgettable reigns, Steve, I couldn't tell you the last 5 Intercontinental champions before Ricochet.
Yeah, no, honestly, Santi, I want to take a step back. I agree with you with almost everything you said, but where I place the IC title compared to the world title, you look at the Warrior defense against Hogan, where Warrior actually won the world title and then quite frankly relinquished the IC title. You basically established that for the 2000s guys. They won the IC title and were fast tracked into that said world title picture. So you look at that and you've got the likes of Rick Rude, you got the likes of Ultimate Warrior, you got Mr. Perfect, you got Bret Hart, you've got guys that literally in the 90s, late 80s, 90s busted their ass, and that stepping stone to the world title was the IC title. So maybe you and I see it different. Maybe it's the age group that we are in that gives Shawn Michaels not defending his IC title for 30 days and having it stripped off him. Shortly after that, where was Shawn Michaels? World title picture. This is just what I'm saying with my opinion on where it should be ranked compared to you. And I'm not taking that away. We're IWC fans. We're all allowed our own opinions. But where we're going with this is Gunther is that old school late 80s, late 70s, or like early 80s guy with complete technique that could bring a full 400-day reign, like said Ultimate Warrior, who literally carried that IC title for over a year and a bit and made it relevant, right? We had guys like the Honky Tonk Man, who carried the IC title for over 400 days. I think Gunther is in this era because he's not going to come at Roman Reigns right now, but he can create a dominance for himself as an established IC title guy where it can be the first match on the card, the second last match on a premium live event. This is great booking from WWE. I think they see quality in Gunther. No disrespect, once again, to Ricochet and whoever, like you said, the last 5 IC title holders are. But I think we've started to get a breaking point in where the IC title can start moving up the hill.
Okay, now you said something there. You
What?
said, and I quote, "We could have this be the opening match on the show somewhere in a premium live event." We haven't gotten any of those things from the IC Championship over the last what seems year and a half. Do we really think that WWE is finally going to have the IC Championship on premium live events, with the likes of Gunther being the one that's defending the championship? That's important because he can have a 700-day reign, but if he's not going to actually defend it on and this isn't the Roman Reigns World Championship thing, because the mystique doesn't work with the IC Championship. The IC champion is the workhorse. It's supposed to be the workhorse, so you can't keep him off cards and generate mystique. The IC Championship needs to be defended in order for us to care and to build a legitimate potential world champion contender in the future. Is WWE going to allow Gunther to actually defend the IC Championship on premium live events? That's question number 1 before we can even begin to discuss as to whether or not the IC Championship is going to come back to relevancy.
All right, let's talk about Gunther's character first. He is that workhorse. All right? The man is the ring general, like you said. He likes to work. He likes to establish pain. He likes to establish dominance, okay? He has a phenomenal character. He's got a mystique to him. The second thing, the second answer to that question is WWE is not stupid. As much as we don't believe, they don't listen to the fans. The fans have been screaming for the mid card titles to be relevant on premium live events. If you look back at just Hell in a Cell, we didn't have the world title. We didn't have the IC title. We didn't have the tag titles. 6 of the 8 titles were not defended in Hell in a Cell or on the premium live event or on the undercard. So here we're at a crossroads where the fans are like, what are you doing? You're giving us the rotational feuds that we're seeing every Monday night, but we're not seeing any build to transition. And as wrestling fans and wrestling connoisseurs, we are ones that want to see transition. We want to see build. We want to see rivalry. And without the title involved, we don't get any of that. You need to see transition. And what they gave us on SmackDown, Ricochet has busted his ass for a very long time. And the way he lost, I think, was honorable. Because we knew coming into this match, there was just a vibe that something was about to change in the business. And Ricochet lost with honor. And I respect everything Ricochet did for the IC title for the, I think, 100 to 120 days. I think I'm a little off on that, but he did well to carry it, but he wasn't given the opportunity on the main stage. Gunther is going to get that opportunity on this main stage, and I cannot wait for this. So there's your answers for that one.
Now, do you think he's actually going to get the opportunity because he is a workhorse and the fans want the IC championship, or is it going to be a need because of the new Roman Reigns contract that has him not be at most house shows and has him apparently not appear at non-major pay-per-view events? Is it a necessity, or is WWE actually listening to fans? Because it might even be a little bit of both.
It's both. It's exactly what you just said. It's both. Like, if Roman Reigns isn't going to be around, they need a relevant title, and they need someone that's going to be dominant in a heel setting to carry the main event. Let's think of the guys that Gunther can go against right now in the main event of a premium live event or a house show. You got the likes of Sami Zayn. You got the likes of Drew McIntyre. You got the likes of Tommaso Ciampa. You have so many world-class athletes at this point that are doing nothing that can be thrown in to a phenomenal storyline against Gunther, because you can build everything up against a nasty German. And I'm sorry, we are 100 years away from past events. But at this point, it all becomes relevant again, and they are booking it like this, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall this is a positive. This is definitely a step in the right direction. I want this to be what we're talking about, that this is going to be the revitalization of the IC Championship. It becomes a proto main event type of title, if not a main event title, then the proper stepping stone that it hasn't been for the last little while, because the last 5 IC champions, Sami Zayn, world title picture, no. Shinsuke Nakamura, world title picture, no. Ricochet, world title picture, no. You see what I mean? Like, it's lost that allure of, once you drop it, you go for the world title, which is actually what the US title has become recently, when Lashley lost it, main event. Riddle lost it, not main event title, but main event.
Main event run.
When Theory loses it,
event.
He's going main event, right? We need that for the IC Championship. And again, no disrespect to the guys who have held it before. They were just not given the proper opportunity to be able to show the world what they got and what they're able to do when they're a face champion or a heel champion. I'm just hoping that they don't suffer the same fate of Gunther, is all I'm saying. I'm just trying to be conservative in my excitement, although my excitement is through the roof because I love Gunther.
like honestly, I'm thinking back on the last IC title holders. The last one I think that got a main event run was Big E. Like
Yeah, I think that's it.
I
Yeah.
think I think now quote me if I'm wrong, guys in the comments. Big E late 2020 IC maybe, and then he had a world title run shortly thereafter, 6 to 8 months later. I think that's the last time that I think they did it right. Gunther on this side of things, we're coming into SummerSlam, then Survivor Series, and yes, okay, we can always shoot on Survivor Series or Clash of Champions. I can see a phenomenal build. Hear me out. Booking 6 months out, Santi. Gunther versus the undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Take my fucking money? Yes, 100%. Because that is going to be one of those ones where you've got, you know, the German powerhouse versus the bloodline. With what's Gunther's side guy's name? I can't remember.
Ludwig. Yeah.
Ludwig. But he's still a beast in himself.
Yeah. Ludwig
The
Kaiser.
guy, Ludwig Kaiser with the 10-pack. All right. That for me would be main event worthy. The IC title versus the Universal World title.
It might have to be that because at Survivor Series, we typically have champion versus champion. If we only have one champion, maybe you have to put him up against the IC champion. It's not bad booking. It's not bad booking. But Steve, that's going to do it for us in this video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave it a like, a comment. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new and subscribe with notifications. It's free to subscribe, so you can always change your mind. So just go ahead and do it. If you want to sponsor the show and give us some money, hit us up at our business email. We'll sell ourselves up for just about anything. So you let us know. But Steve, any last words?
Nah, guys, just help us out on the sponsorship. I don't want to start OnlyFriends.
All right, later, everybody.